a senior pastor of the largest Sunday school in the United States. And I drive a bus. Nobody does that. It's funny, right? So when I drive my bus every week in New York, now you know who I'm picking up, don't you? That's why it's still real. See? The man now is 65 years old, still working in a machine shop. And who would have ever thought? I talked to him this past Christmas. He's going to meet now after all these years. You know what? He thought if he could just get a little kid, his mother didn't want him. If he could just get a little kid in the presence of God. One time, maybe something would happen. And you know what? It did. It's one of their days. I look back at all those years. I look back at coming back from the youth camp. I lived in a closet. In the church. All the women in the women's ministry rotated every night. Each one of them would one night, one would make me dinner, and the next night, and they'd put it on a plate. And they would make a little plate of food, and they would come up to the closet that I lived in. They would knock on the door, and then they'd run away. I don't know what they thought I was going to do, but they would run away. And they would leave the plate of food on the floor. And they kind of fed me like you'd feed a dog. And I would come out of my closet, and I would take the plate of food, and I would sit on the floor. And I'd eat food, and that was my meal. And I'd go back in the closet and do my homework. That's how I lived. But you know what I never could shake? I never could shake that night. And I still can't shake it. You know how long ago that? I'm 50 years old, folks. I'm really 80. Actually, I'm 50. And it's as real tonight as it was the night I knelt down by myself. Why? Because once you've been in his presence, I guess things change, don't they? It all changes. It all changes. And what a celebration it was. What a festival it was. People came from everywhere. The presence of God has been returned. But over in 1 Chronicles chapter 15, verse 24, there's a list of the doorkeepers. Now let me explain to you who the doorkeepers are. The doorkeepers are the ones that guard the inner doors to the inner court. Now if you understand the configuration of the tabernacle, you'll understand that. The ark has now been put in the Holy of Holies. And because you know that the only one that's allowed in there is the high priest. So they had to have a guard 24 hours a day at the door leading into that. Would you like to know who volunteered to be one of the doorkeepers? It's our boy. Obededom! Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Out of nowhere, a nobody suddenly says, hey, preacher, need somebody to clean the bathroom? Need somebody to sing up here? Need somebody to play? Need somebody to do an 8-hour shift? Watch the door? I'll do that. I'll do that. When I thought about that, I thought, why would he want to do that? Why would he volunteer to do that? Now, I can't prove this theologically either, but I think it's something to think about. See, for 3 months, he had the presence of God in his house. Now, he knows now that that will never happen again just like that. So what's he saying? I know it's not going to be like it used to be. But if you'll let me, stand next to the door, and that's as close as I can get there. I'll stand there. Okay. Let me stand next to the door. I'll do that. Why? Because I remember how it used to be when I had it in my house. You with me? Because you don't forget that, do you? No, you don't. Let me stand next to the door. Stand there for 8 hours. I don't care. Wouldn't it be nice if we had churches all across this country filled with people that at one point or another had got in the presence of God? I wonder what kind of change we would see then. Interesting to think about, isn't it? I wonder what would happen. Yeah. I don't know. Who is this man? I don't know. Scholars aren't real sure. All we know is that for 3 months, he had the presence of God in his house. And it seems like something happened, didn't it? It seemed like something changed. 1 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 38 lists the ministers of the tabernacle. Now, who were the ministers of the tabernacle? They were the ones that were like, in today's terminology, would be the assistant pastors, associates, whatever the high priest needed. Help with the offerings, getting the garments clean, whatever. The ministers of the tabernacle were there to help. Would you like to know who volunteered to be a minister of the tabernacle? Obededom. How does this work? I don't know. I don't know. 1 minute he's cleaning the bathroom. Next minute he's up here playing and singing. Then he runs out and does an 8-hour shift, watching the door. Now he's telling the preacher, whatever you need, I'll help you. Well, see, you probably don't have to do this over in this country, but you know what happens in America? We have to beg people in church to do everything. You get up on the pulpit, you yell, you scream, you holler, you threaten, you boot the cars, you do whatever you need to do. You have to feed them, because you have to feed Christians before they'll do anything. Now, I don't mind feeding people chicken as long as they do something. Don't be eating my chicken and then not do nothing either. I don't like that. That dog ain't going to hunt. You know what I'm saying? That bothers me. I'll feed you, but then do something. But you're always having to try to coerce folks. See, oh, well, we'll teach once a month. Oh, really? Well, pin a rose on you. Boy, you're just doing all kinds of great things for God. You're really busting it out, aren't you? Wow. How does that work? Oh, I'll do the nursery once every 6 months. Don't do us any favors, folks. We don't need you that desperately. We need somebody that will say whatever it takes. We need somebody that will build a relationship with a class. We need somebody that will make a commitment to say, whatever it takes, I'm going to do this. Don't we? Yeah. See? Where do those people come from? I don't know about over in this part of the world, but they ain't growing on trees in America. Pretty hard to find, aren't they? I'm sure you just have abundance of them over here because, you know, this is Britain, and everybody is proper, cool, We were joking the other day. Nobody ever blows their horn here. What's the matter with you people? You know, just blow the stupid horn. Blew it the other day and scared some guy to death. Ah! You know, I could never live here. I'd be arrested in 2 weeks. Could never live here. Everything is just very proper, aren't you? Come on, folks. How does that work? See? Sometimes you got to step outside the lines, don't you? Because if you want something you ain't never had before, guess what? Do something you never done. Yeah.
For 3 months. Say, how does this work, Bill Wilson?
I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like the blind man. Remember the story about the blind man? And Jesus healed him? And somebody asked him, how'd you get healed? You know what he said? I don't know. All I know is I once was blind. Oh, now I see. I guess you don't have to know much more than that, do you? Yeah. I used to be a nobody. I used to be a little boy on a corner whose mother didn't want him. Who was really quiet. And something happened. Yeah. Now I'm a bus driver. You came here tonight to listen to a bus driver. It's pretty depressing, isn't it? I hear you. But I'm the best bus driver you'll ever meet. I say it humbly, nevertheless I say it. I'm a nobody, and I don't say that for any other reason, but I know me. I'm a nobody. But I remember one night a long, long time ago, when not even a Christian wanted to pray with me, because I was scroungy and dirty and ugly. But Jesus wanted me, didn't he? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a bunch of people in our churches that had been in the presence of God for a little bit? Because when you are, it changes, doesn't it? It just all changes. Wouldn't that be nice? First, turn that stupid thing off.
1 Chronicles 26:15 lists the gatekeepers.
Now, that's an interesting one.
See, the gatekeepers were different than the doorkeepers. The doorkeepers guarded the inner door to the inner court. The gatekeepers guarded the outer gates of the tabernacle. Would you like to know who volunteered to be a gatekeeper? Just keeps going, folks. I mean, how much time we got here tonight? See, the list goes on and on. Who is this guy? See, he's cleaning the bathrooms. He's singing in the praise and worship team.
He's doing an 8-hour shift on the inner doors. Now he's doing an 8-hour shift on the outer doors.
And in between, he's helping the pastor. How does that work? Beats me. I don't know how it works. The only thing we know about him,
He had the presence of God in his house. I wonder what that would do in your house. I wonder what would happen to your family. I wonder what would happen to your priorities. It's an interesting thought, isn't it? I wonder what would happen to our life. Maybe that's a problem. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just talking now. Something I've been kind of kicking around the last couple of months in the States. I don't think it's a big revelation. It's just something I think I'm dealing with my own self.
you know what I found?
Everybody has this invisible line in their life, don't they? Everything on it? Everybody has an invisible line. For some folks, it's here. For other folks, it's over here.
For some, it's a little farther.
Do you know what I found? Everybody's got one. Everybody's got one. I don't know you. still live on the street, folks. And you don't survive in my neighborhood unless you know people. You don't make it. And you know what normally happens? I say normally. Most of us will come right to the edge of that line, but we won't cross it. Why? Because the day you cross that line, your whole life changes forever. And you know it. Don't you? I'm not saying this to be unkind. I'm just saying it's how it goes.
When you cross that line, if you choose to.
See, 19 years ago when I went to Brooklyn, that's really all I did, wasn't it? I'd like to tell you God called me to New York, because that'd be the right thing to say. I know that. See, in our circle of folks, if God doesn't call you, we don't do anything. That's why most of us don't do anything. Because we're waiting for something to happen that may or may not happen to you. If it does, that's a bonus. You know, most of us are waiting for the go to Africa, you know, kind of thing. I know that. I know how this works.
And if we don't hear the proverbial audible voice, the burning bush, the pillar of fire of cloud, it's like, okay, I guess I'll just kind of hang out
Till something happens. I'd like to tell you God called me to New York. He never did. Nope. That didn't happen either. Well, what a mess that is. You mean you passed to the largest Sunday school in America and God never called you into the ministry? Yep. I love saying that. Because that just bothers people. That's why I like saying it. Want me to say it again?
I just love saying it. Because it doesn't make sense. That's the beauty of it. Because if it made sense, you know what? It wouldn't be quite what it is, would it?
None of my life makes any sense. Not any of it. I laugh at myself. I'm my biggest entertainer. Some days I just look at places where I'm at and I'm going, this is a funny thing. This is a very funny life.
Because it makes no sense. God never, no. I guess he figured he never had to.
Maybe for some people he has to talk to them in an audible voice. And even then, they're too brain dead to get it. He's never had to do that to me, I reckon. That's a southern term. Not southern England either.
I reckon. So then you start doing some
Things that have never been done before. And people look at you weird. You've had that happen to you too, haven't you? Yeah. I know what you're saying. I'll bet you got a few stories, don't you?
And we look and people go,
Yeah, guys, I was sent to a Christian psychiatrist, if there is such a thing, several years ago by the group that I used to be a part of, which most of them were the ones that needed a psychiatrist. But that's another story, and we're not going there, so we'll talk about that tomorrow.
So I'm sent to a psychiatrist. It was inevitable.
I mean, I knew it was going to happen sooner or later. I got a hold of one of my tapes, one of my preaching tapes, thought I was having a nervous breakdown. And actually, the tape they listened to wasn't the bad one. If they'd listened to one of the other ones, they had thought I was really whacked.
So they send me to this psychiatrist, right? I don't know if you guys have ever been to these people, where they give you this entire
Psychological examination. It's really kind of funny. You ought to do it. You got nothing better to do. You know, you go through these 600 questions, battery of questions day after day. Then
they show you these ink blotches on the pieces of paper, and they ask you, what does this look like? It looks like an ink blotch. Then they think you're a smart aleck.
You know, then they think you're being stupid, so it looks like an ink blotch.
So I do good. First day, no problem. Second day, no problem. The third day, it hit me.
I'm thinking, if you're crazy, do you know it?
And then I got scared. I thought, oh, great. You know, I've been doing this all over the world all these years, and I am crazy. Well, that's great. So,
anyways, I found out I was okay, which should be some consolation to you, I'm sure.
And so I'm leaving
The doctor's office, right, to go back to the airport. And he says, his last words were, "Are you okay?" Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. I just don't live like you. And you know what?